when De La Hoya retired after the Pacquiao loss in 2009, I had a couple really bad relationships and just tore through probably like $500,000 just going to Miami and going to New York and going to all the best parties in LA until I would already just, I had hit the bottom. I didn't want to coach. I didn't know what I was going to do next. And then when you hit the bottom, you have to figure how am I going to rebuild myself? And you have to start from scratch. All the habits that I had acquired when I was winning, when I was on top of the world and everyone telling me how great I was, I had to restore those.
You know how I always say life be life, and every single one of us have watched greatness. A boxer raises a championship belt, a surfer dropping into a 50-foot wave, an athlete doing something extraordinary. It almost doesn't seem human. But here's what most of us never think about. Who prepared them for that moment? Who's the person standing quietly in the corner, helping them master fear, build confidence, and stay calm when everything else around is chaos? Today's guest has spent his entire career doing just exactly that. Please welcome Rob Garcia to Out of the Fire.
Thanks for the gracious introduction.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure.
So, I'm really excited to talk to you
All right.
because you have worked with some of the greatest athletes out there. And that's not easy. I work with crazy artists. I've worked with
Mhm.
some crazy artists, so I couldn't even imagine the great artists. So give me some of your background first,
Mhm.
and then I want to jump in with all the different athletes that you've worked with, because you go from not just from boxing to you go from you know um, pro athletics in every field, surfers, the whole thing. So give me a little bit of your background. Let's go from there. Welcome, Rob Garcia.
Thank you. Well, my background started, I was a young athlete, played 3 different sports in high school, but plagued with injuries. And so that always sidetracked me, which I thought was, the worst thing that could happen to you when you're young and you have all these aspiring dreams to be an athlete. But it shifted me into the channel of coaching early on. And that ended up being a huge blessing in disguise because it gave me a lot more experience when other athletes were just retiring from the sport and deciding what they were going to do and maybe get into coaching. So I had a good background academically. I went to San Diego State, studied kinesiology and physiology.
That's a party school. What you
Yeah,
talking about?
it was back then.
No, I'm joking. But
The
dang, what did you
Yeah,
study
kinesiology and
again? Wow.
physiology. So they didn't have masters or degrees in sports science back then when I was in school. They were just putting the curriculum together. And now they have prestigious programs at all these schools. So that gave me a little head start. I studied at the Czech Institute of High Performance Training,
Hmm.
and I studied at Pacific College of Oriental Medicine. So I was able to morph the 3 of them together
Wow.
and gave me a great head start understanding preparation and things of that nature. So just synthesizing things correctly to make a symphony is so that everyone's doing the exact thing at the exact right time.
Hmm.
And so you have a window of, say, an hour and 20 minutes when you start a practice. It's not only running the practice smoothly, but making sure your athlete is completely focused for that entire hour and 20 minutes.
Wow.
And if you can keep stringing those practices along, you're going to get increments of improvement. But not only that, you're going to get an athlete that's able to stay tightly focused for that hour and 20 minutes. And that's the key. Because in practice, you see people look over there and talk to their teammates and
Get distracted.
get distracted.
Yeah.
So the
That's
more
crazy.
well prepared you are, best chance of winning, right?
Yeah. And what was your sport of choice when you were younger?
I played football as a football player, as a
Football player.
running back. Yeah.
Okay. And then in college, you started studying. And then did you always train other people in college? Did you play in college? Give me your early days,
When
like
I went to San Diego State, so I was boxing as an amateur while I was in
boxing.
college,
Hmm.
and still the back injury would flare up and put me on the sidelines. And so, I wasn't able to pursue that fully. And so I just kept coaching. I was lucky enough back then, Terry Norris, Orlin Norris were 2 very famous boxers out of San Diego. And so I had become attached to them and started helping them just with nutrition, doing simple warm-ups, recovery after the training to make sure that you cool down properly, which people weren't doing back then. Boxing was probably the furthest back. Everyone had their own secret recipe,
Right.
but it wasn't like on a college level where you see the teams go through certain steps, and everyone understands these steps. Everyone was doing just
Something different.
something different.
So you grew up in wait, so you born in LA and you grew up in Hawaii?
Yes.
And where, the Big Island?
No, in Kauai, the outer
Kauai.
island. Yeah.
Wow, Kauai is so beautiful
Yeah, it's beautiful.
and quiet. Very quiet.
Yeah, serene. It's almost too
And
quiet.
surfing, is that where the surfing bug came from? Did you surf yourself?
Yeah, I surfed. I was never that good competitively. I really just loved the sport. I
Mhm.
don't think I jumped in early enough. But I did come there was one common denominator that I found is that the boxers, the way that they prepared and the strength to body weight ratio and the endurance you need, either paddling or throwing punches, there was a lot
Yeah.
that coincided. So what I started to do is applying a lot of these boxing methods to the surfers that I started training, and you just got dynamic results. It
S
wasn't that great because there wasn't that many coaches. So
Right.
in order for me to come in with a system, it was easy for me to climb my surfers to the top of the charts.
So let's jump into your early boxing days. Who were the first people like, boxing people that you worked with? Or give me names that you worked with in all of them, actually,
Yeah.
because you kinda go from everywhere, you know?
Well, I apply the same kind of theory as a prize fighter. And so I've had champions in MMA, jiu-jitsu, surfing, boxing, and even skateboarding. I trained a athlete in skateboarding that beat Shaun White like 5 times in a row during the
Mm.
Dew Tour, and it was almost like
Wow.
impossible because he wasn't losing anywhere,
Wow.
and he kept coming up against PLG, this Pierre-Luc Gagnon
Mhm.
from Montreal, couldn't beat him. So, applying the right system, plugging it into making sure that these kids understand how important it is just to stay focused when you're at practice, whether you're focusing on your breath work, on your next play, on what you could do to improve a certain technique. If you can, and the coaching is you're just over their shoulder, and when they feel your presence, that makes them want to stay focused because they know someone's watching them. There's someone
Right.
right over your
Right.
shoulder. So,
Well,
okay,
you always
okay,
work harder when you ever even for me,
absolutely,
I train, but when I
hmm
have a trainer that's on me,
yeah,
that watches me, that doesn't let me mess up, I have better results, you know what I
absolutely.
mean? Which boxers did you work with? You had De La
The
Hoya, right?
first world champion was from Hawaii. His name was Jesus Salute.
Okay.
The second one that was very the notoriety was high was Terry Norris.
Terry Norris. I remember that name.
Those are the
Mhm.
two, and then there were several, James Kitchen, there were several out of San Diego that were good fighters, but not household names.
Mhm.
And so, I made a world champion out of Sonny Garcia, who I grew up with.
I remember Sonny Garcia, yes.
Right after Sonny won his title is when they reached out from Team Golden Boy,
Mhm.
and they were looking for a new conditioning coach that didn't use weightlifting as a theory
So
because they
what'd you
had brought
use?
someone in. I do all kinds of plyometrics and different stuff that the Russians had been using for a long time.
Mhm.
And so for athletics and performance-oriented type techniques, the weight room is just to build strength. And so then
Right.
you have to organize and create agility out of that strength you're building. It's a two-step process. When you have a boxing athlete, it's someone that walks around at 160 and looks like they're in shape and actually fights at 140, kind of like a supermodel.
Right. Right. They look good.
Yeah,
They look the
yeah,
part,
yeah.
but they're, like, all mushy
Yeah,
inside.
it's
Yeah.
not bigger, faster, stronger in boxing or wrestling. It's you actually have to be smaller and faster. So these other sports, it's okay to keep growing. You have Aaron Judd playing for the Yankees. He's 6'7.5". Like they just athletes are getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
In the sport of boxing, if there's weight classes, the kids are usually bigger than the weight class, so they have to diet down to make that weight.
Right.
Sometimes it's an advantage. Sometimes they take too much out of themselves cutting the weight, and the night of the fight, they don't have enough energy.
So I'm gonna ask a stupid question.
hmm
What's the strongest part of your body for an athlete? Or really, like, we're talking about boxing right now, even surfing. I think I know the answer, but what's the strong besides your brain? You better have your head together. What's the strongest part of your body that you have together?
Your masseter,
Wow,
your jaw,
really?
yeah.
Why?
Because if you can't take a punch, doesn't matter how far out in the lead you are, you're not going to finish the fight.
See, I thought you were gonna say the midsection.
It a lot has to do with that midsection. So we do a lot of that core training, twisting, bending. But I think what got me to where I'm at is very easy. Is when I came on board in 2000 with Team Golden Boy and De La Hoya, they also hired Floyd Mayweather Sr. as the head coach.
Mhm.
And so I have been coaching under him for 26 years.
Wow.
He didn't know anything about the terminology of sports performance or any of the different, catchphrases that you use to motivate or anything. He just lived it. And by doing so, it took me a while to catch on because he would have me run certain drills and do certain things and tell me what went with boxing and what didn't. I just came out of college. I'm like, I know more than this guy, but I'm
Of
going to
course,
just
you're
appease.
old.
Yeah, I'm just going to appease him and do what
Those
he
are the
said.
kids that work for me. You're old. You don't know anything. Yes.
But building world champions and creating the confidence that you need day in and day out, that's what he taught me. And he obviously taught his son that and
Mhm.
everyone that was around him. And so it gave me an unfair advantage because now I had these techniques for conditioning and nutrition. And then I had this head coach that knew more about the sport of boxing than I ever thought he did. And it took me 5 years working under him to realize how intelligent he was in this game. And then his son fought every different style that you could think of and
Yes.
was able to neutralize all of them. So
Yes.
that was just the proof in the pudding right there.
That was a beautiful time too. That kid just
Yeah.
he was just beautiful. Like, everything he did, he was funny, he was arrogant, he was a great fighter,
Yeah.
he backed up everything. He made it seem simple, but you also knew that he was very focused.
Yeah, he raised him to be a champion, and so the day-to-day things about how you have to put things in order of how your diet goes and how you prepare, how you do everything, how you do one thing is how you do everything, and when you start with that mentality, you become more meticulous, you become detail-oriented, and those little things make a difference in the close fights.
Let me ask you a question, another dumb question. You get a new boxer, and they have potential, and they're under you, your tutorship. Do they come live with you now?
Sometimes, yes.
Okay, so they come live with you. They're 18, 19. I don't know, I'm just gonna throw a young
Mhm.
number out there. What's the first thing you do with them? What is take me through the first week or 2, or take me through, like, "Hey, this is what I need you to do right now. I want you to strip it down and do."
Well, the thing is you create drills that have a progression. So during that progression, they could see their improvement, the numbers, their speed, whatever it is. But the first thing that I learned from Floyd Mayweather Sr. is that you lend them your confidence till they have their own.
Mm,
And by doing so, it's that when you put them in particular situations, whether it be sparring, hitting the bag, hitting mitts, is you put them in a situation where they know that they can perfect something in that moment. A slip, the right hand to do, and then, okay, I got that. Now I can add to that. And then when you could do that, you could link things together all the way down, and they just keep improving. Like I just tell them, all right, we're going to train all year. If you get 1% better every day, that's 365% improvement per year.
yeah, you broke it down into baby steps. I have this whole thing about baby steps. I'm
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with them because that really does build you up, the baby steps. When you
Yes,
look back and go, "Oh, I made that one step. I did one rep, one more." You know what I mean? And I did it better.
absolutely. So
Mhm.
it's you don't, it, our sport, you perform 10% of the time and you prepare 90% of the time. In baseball, you perform 90% of the time. You only get 10%, 162 games or something like that.
Right. Right.
Right now, they're giving out contracts at Zuffa, so the kid fights 3 times a year. That's Mike Tyson, when he was on his way to getting his first 20 fights, he had 17 fights in 2 years, so that's way more than 3 a year.
Right.
It's changed. So you have to find that progression in the preparation. We don't have the stage to perform on every month like they
Mhm.
did before.
Mhm.
So you have to make things interesting, and it can be mundane. The practices can be redundant. Oh, you jump rope 10 minutes and then you do this and then you hit the bag. So how do you make them feel that there's some way they can get better each day? By looking at details and then giving them those details, information. And then when they start to orchestrate that, then they say, oh, okay, I know I got a better feel for this. Consciously, when you start practice, you have to give them some takeaways. You have to give them a few things. What are you working on today? They have to come up with something. I'm working on, moving my jab around. I'm working on making sure and be more slippery on the inside. So my head's always moving. And then once they have that cue, they take that into practice. And then, you see them consciously getting better at some kind of small drill that's helping them improve something that they need to add to their game every month in order to be, when I release them into the field, we have to know that we can take on all comers.
Do you give them books to read?
Yes, absolutely.
What are some of the books you give them?
Several different books. There's books on sports or sports psychology. Malcolm Gladwell, The Tipping Point.
Mhm. That's a good one.
Yeah,
The
that's a good
Tipping
one.
Point's a great one. Yes.
Yeah, and trying to get these younger kids, they're on their phone all the
Ah,
time.
I know, I got 2.
Yeah.
And it's like, "Read a book."
It's very, yeah. So hopefully with the plane flights, as you're moving around the country and traveling, training at different places, that'll give them times like you're sitting there 4 hours, just read. Don't stay off your phone. You can be on your phone other times. I'm very excited. I have 2 kids right now, 20-year-olds. You saw them briefly.
Mhm.
Siderio Mitchell, he's from Grand Rapids, Michigan. He doesn't have any pro fights. He's about 30 amateur fights. But when he was 14, he's right down the street from Mayweather's mom, Little Floyd's grandmother. And he just ended up in the mix with us. And Big Floyd said, we're going to start training this kid. So I never questioned anything. I just started training him.
Wow.
Well, 5 years went by. He's 20. He's turning pro. He
Wow.
has huge amount of talent. He doesn't have a huge amount of opportunity in other area besides boxing. So I know he's singularly focused on the sport. And it'll create generational wealth for his family. And he knows that. So he has his family on his back because, he's the one that's going to be the one doing it. And so that gives him that power.
Right.
He's empowered, right? And I have another kid, Shaheem Ashford. He's from Goldsboro, North Carolina, and his dad ran the YMCA gym to keep the kids off the street. So he's been in that gym
Okay.
since he was about 8 years old. He's 20 years old. He's 7-0 as a pro. They're both 20. And
Wow.
they got the whole, they have everything in front of them. So much opportunity, so much potential. So I'm 26 years, what I would say, in the big leagues, because I started in 2000 with De La Hoya when I jumped into, prize fighting at the
Right.
highest level. And any wisdom that I can bestow on these kids, from what I learned from Mayweather, from what I learned from all the years of doing this and winning, how to win, that's when it's time to, give that information to the younger generation
Right.
so they can go ahead and take that and do something great with it. So, um, probably after these, if say they're 20, say they fight till they're 30,
Yeah.
that'll be my exit out of the sport.
So they're here with you. So how often are you guys all together? Like, is it every day? Is it once, what's the,
They
you know,
come in and we do camps like for a month. So we did the last camp together. We were in Michigan, not Michigan. We did one in Michigan. We were in Las Vegas. And so we
Mhm.
were with Floyd Mayweather Sr.
Right.
And we got an Airbnb by his house. There's gyms close by. And we run the camp right from there. Right now, we're still getting our footing with management.
Right.
It's very critical. You could have the best fighter, right? But if you don't have a good management team, they can't get them the right fights.
That's in any business.
Right. That's so.
Yeah.
It's taken me 3 years to try and find somebody that's the right fit for us.
Right.
And I think we got the guy's name is Jason Booker, and his nephew is Najee Lopez, and he has another nephew, Brian Norman Jr. So they're both top tier fighters currently.
Okay.
So I think he knows his way around the game, and I think it's going to be a good fit for us. And I'm just excited to see these kids skyrocket to the
exciting.
top of the sport.
Well, it's very exciting. It's kind of compared to what I do in the business, which is find new talent, discover them, get their music out.
Mhm.
But it's really interesting that you put so much of your time into this. I mean, they become your kids. Do you have
Yeah,
kids?
yeah. My kids are grown.
How old are your
They don't
kids?
hang
Okay.
around with me no more, so I
They're
got the
like,
2
we're
young.
done with all
Yeah.
this. We don't want to listen to you anymore. What do your kids do?
My kids are overachievers. So my oldest son, Gavin, he's working on PhD number 2. So he
Wow.
got his first in traditional Chinese medicine and
Okay.
this second one that he'll be done next summer in injectable medicine.
Fabulous.
My middle son, Zion, is a sound engineer.
Hmm.
He
I think
went
one
to,
of the guys did tell me that.
yeah,
Yes.
and this kid can pick up any instrument and play it. I don't care what it is.
Wow.
Any instrument that you can hand him, he can play it.
That's amazing.
So he doesn't like touring. He likes to be in his recording studio,
Mhm.
home right here. He lives in Playa Vista and just doing his music like that.
I got to hear some of his music.
Yeah.
Yes.
My daughter is an entertainer, so she's a singer-songwriter. She's been on the road. She's played Coachella several times. She toured with FKJ,
What's her name?
Mia Kiana Garcia. And
Okay.
I'll share some of her
Yeah,
stuff
I
with
would
you.
love to hear that.
So she's doing great. She's
Right.
all over the place. She's friends with Lenny Kravitz. They
Mhm.
play guitar together and do different stuff. She's hung out with him and got some direction in her music. And um, same thing. She's looking for the right manager.
Right.
She released a album October of last year.
And what kind of music is she doing?
It's kind of like Erykah Badu kind of
Ooh,
music.
I wanna hear
Yeah,
that.
yeah, for sure.
Amazing.
She's super creative. She's on her own
That's
thing.
dope.
She's influenced only by herself.
Well,
I don't
as
see
an
her.
artist,
Yeah.
you need that.
Okay.
Seriously, as an artist, especially if you want to stand out in this day and age, you need to have your own lane,
She definitely does.
And so the kids that you have with you, you guys, so So you're with them, they do a camp, and then after the camp, where do they go? Into a fight? Like, they do go back
They
home
go
or
back home, so Shaheem's father runs the gym that he's out of, so he's still and he lives in the gym.
right.
And Siderio, same thing, he's in Grand Rapids. He's just finishing his amateur career, so he just finished a tournament, like, about 5 months ago. So now he's jumping into the pros, and, I'm gonna be his full-time coach. Mayweather has a small issue with some dementia that he's dealing with and the
Mhm.
medication and stuff like that, so he's not able to coach full-time any longer.
Mhm.
But it's amazing because his presence in the gym,
It's
the
still
energy is
very
so
serious,
crazy
yeah.
that all of a sudden, everyone just starts doing better when he walks in.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so we still use him whenever he's
Right,
available, when he's feeling good, when he wants to get out of the house, we keep
right.
him close by, and we're pretty excited, he's cherished.
And then let's talk about the surfing because I've seen that you've helped a lot of the big surfers. Give me some of the surfing guys that
Okay,
you've worked with.
I trained Sonny Garcia when he won the world title in 2000. I trained Andy Irons when he won the world title in 2004. Kelly Slater when he won the world title in 2007.
Wow,
Makua Rothman when he won the big wave title in 2015. So
that's crazy.
for yeah, and they're like boxers. They have to have on their feet. They have to have a certain stance, a certain balance. Their knees have to be soft.
Mm,
They have to be able to use their arms. 75% of surfing is paddling.
mhm.
But the key with all these athletes getting success, it's that hiring me, your mentality as a prize fighter, when that jersey goes on, it's time to go.
Right,
And
right,
one person's gonna, like Mark said, one person's gonna walk out of there and one person's not.
right.
So you can't complain about the conditions or anything. You gotta be prepared to be the guy that walks out.
Well, let me ask you a question as a coach and
Mhm.
leading all these amazing athletes who are winning. Can you look in their eye and you know when they're ready?
Yes,
I knew that.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
You can look at that eye and go, "You're ready for
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
You're coming out a winner."
Exactly.
That
And
must be an amazing feeling to watch someone put the time in and then show up to that moment, especially even for fighters. But I think about surfing because surfing's so dangerous.
yeah.
I mean, you have the element of the water and the wave, and that nobody can control that.
Mm-mm.
You don't know. That's a little luck in there. That's also having, foresight what's going to happen in the water. Like, is even for you, isn't it must be nervous to watch when they hit these waves and everything that's going
I
on
mean, most of these kids that are this good in surfing, they grew up
doing it?
surfing. The ocean is their best friend.
Yeah.
It always has been. It's not the playground, it's not the schoolyard, it's the ocean.
Right.
And they
Right.
know
Right.
every
Right.
condition, so when their moment comes that they've already gone through, all the preparation and had their amateur career and they're out there in the pros, this is the one thing they know for sure.
Right.
And so when I see the boxer or the surfer get nervous before an event, I just tell them, "Now, what else do you know how to do? What else do we do? Why would you get nervous surfing? That's all you do is surf. Now, if I had you go out in front of all the people and do a math, exam that you have to put it on the board or do a spelling contest, or you might get nervous
Yeah.
because I know you
But
ain't
this
in
is your
the yeah,
world.
this is your world." And so that's a little adjustment there. And then just when you go over the steps of preparation, when you're getting ready for the event, and they know, okay, we spent this much time preparing, cross that T, dot this I. Okay, you're maximally prepared. And they think of all the work they got put through, and they're like, "Okay, I am. Okay, now you can relax and have fun with the event because when you're prepared, there's nothing to be nervous about.
Right.
It's only when you didn't do something
Right.
you should have, right?"
Well, a couple things. For a boxer, how long before a fight lead time do you prepare them?
It's very interesting. Each athlete is a little different. If you keep them in the gym too long, they get stale.
Yeah.
If you don't make the camp long enough, they're not completely prepared. So you have to find the sweet spot. And when you see them hit the top part like that, you have to know what they call periodization or tapering, which you start to slow the workload down, let the body rejuvenate from all those weeks.
Right.
Some guys need more sparring, some guys don't need as much sparring, they need more conditioning. The thing that we don't want to do, and is turn a boxing camp into a fat camp where it's not a weight loss camp. You come in shape because if they come 30 pounds over, the most thing that they're worried about is they're going to make weight on the way in. They're not even worried about their opponents. They're like, man, I might
So
not
you
make
come
weight.
in the weight you need to be in, and now we're just perfecting
Yeah. They shouldn't
everything.
start camp, the day of camp, they shouldn't be more than 15, 12 pounds overweight.
Wow.
And that weight will come off during the 8
Wow.
weeks. Usually we run 8-week camps.
Okay, a surfer, how long do you prepare?
So there's more events and there's a lot more traveling. So you have 2 months before the season starts in Australia, and that 8 weeks is when you really go and get prepared for the whole 8 weeks. So when you show up for the first event, you wanna be out of the gates quick. So that means you wanna to get a result in Australia, so you're already in the hunt. You're a contender right from the beginning. Top 5 guys could have a chance at being a
Right.
world champion. So you don't wanna be chasing a result late in the season. You
Right.
wanna get a result quick, and
Right.
then you're in a position where you can strategize how you're gonna maintain that.
Right. And what's your favorite to train? What like do you or you just love both of them? Like what do you if you had to give up one? That's hard to say. I don't even want to say that to you
The whole thing is,
because you love all of it.
you get good at certain things,
Yeah.
but the kind of money we get paid to be prize fighters, the kind of money cash you
Mhm.
checks on Saturday or Sunday, there's no sport like it.
Exactly.
Formula 1, maybe.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
so what other areas do you train besides fighters, surfers? What else is your
Well
next kind
well,
of bucket?
what happened is, they were opening a gym in about 2017, Wild Card West. So
Mm.
Freddie Roach was involved. Peter Berg, who's a director in Hollywood,
Mm.
Friday Night
Mhm.
Lights, and
Mhm.
so he was part of that. So Freddie, I was working for Freddie Roach. They sent me over there. I opened the gym with them, and then opened this huge door of entertainment. So then I did the Ray Donovan show, and I trained John
Gosh.
Voight,
I
Pooch
love
Hall.
that
You
show.
know Pooch Hall?
Yes.
Trained Pooch Hall,
Wow.
Dash, Liev Schreiber, and then all
He
of a
looks great
sudden
in that
yeah,
show
and
too.
all of a sudden, some good, tall, good-looking guy comes walking in the gym and wants to he has a role that he's gonna play a fighter. I knew him from Hawaii, but I didn't know him, and it was Jason Momoa,
Oh,
and I became his coach for, like,
wow.
2 years. Before he got Aquaman, he hadn't cracked it yet. I'd
Wow.
be going all around Hollywood with him. People knew me more than him, and they go, "Who's that big, good-looking guy you be walking with?" I said, "Don't worry, you'll know
You'll
soon
know
enough."
soon. Yes.
Sure enough,
Yeah.
so
And he looked great.
yeah, so that was it was a great time because all my kids was in college, and that got me to, help with the tuition through that period. So the fighters, when they're initially starting out, it's an investment,
Right.
and then it pays off later.
Right.
With the entertainment thing that they set me up with, I got SAG'd, I was doing all this stuff, and the
Right.
money was great. But, you're sitting there on set all day.
Waiting.
Yeah, and I can't do that. So
Waiting, like, oh, do you have your own gym that people can come to or
no,
no?
I work out of Brad Bose's gym, which, him and Robert Downey Jr. were partners. They no longer are, and that's right out on Santa Monica by the 405 freeway, Santa Monica
Okay.
Boulevard. I work out of Wild Card Gym. I work out of Top Rank when I'm in Vegas. I have the door open to every gym.
Right.
I don't have the time to be anchored to one gym
Right.
because then you gotta make sure, and in order to keep the lights on and the doors open, you gotta be there. Like, Freddie's always at the gym.
Right.
I move
You travel around with everybody.
I travel around. Once these kids get into the first year of their pro career, we're probably gonna be in Vegas most of the time.
Right.
It's close to Mayweather Sr. It's the mecca of boxing. You have a better tax shelter when you're over there as far as being a resident. There's a lot of
Yeah.
pluses.
There's a lot of places in Vegas.
Yeah.
I was just trying to figure out if you had a gym because I wanted to come since
I'm
I
all
know you
you
there.
can find me over there, and we can work at Brad Bose's gym, which is in
I'm
Santa Monica
serious. I
Boulevard on
want to
the
get
405.
yoked. I'm like, how do you do that? And it's the mindset, though.
It
I know
is.
it's the mindset. And I know, especially with athletes, it's like turning that, just what Mark was just saying. You like, he became this different person. You know what I mean? Turning that, that knob. I'm focused now.
Yeah,
And, people, like you said, actors do it,
yeah,
but it really is. There's something about working out. I love working. I've worked
yeah.
out my whole life. I strength train. I hike. I do
Mhm.
everything. But
Right.
I don't know anyone like you. So I'm like, shoot, I want to get my butt kicked so I can get yoked. No, but it really is. It's psychology.
It is.
You're a psychologist, basically.
Yeah, you can't out-train a bad diet.
Exactly.
So that's the thing is as we get older, just to be more mindful of the nutrition plan and sticking to it. That's the key right there because you could be kicking butt in the gym, but if you're not eating the right things, you're gonna be you'll be in shape and you won't be looking as in shape as you want. Whereas if you have a perfect diet and you're only working out half the time, you might not be in that great a shape, but you're gonna look fabulous.
Yes. I think my problem is the food.
Yeah.
I think I probably, but getting back to, so do you come in when they come in, whatever, and they say, okay, this is your meal prep. This is what you're eating, or this is how much protein you're eating. This is how much. Give me some of that, like so, especially for kids, but also keeping that fighter. machismo. I don't know what the
Mhm.
right word is, but the food is so important.
Yeah.
So break down some of the food that you think is more protein.
Every human body is its own chemistry factory.
Right.
So once you see how they process dairy or proteins, then you're gonna see how what keeps weight on them and what falls off. So we would do like a 2-day food challenge. Sari Malman used to write all my diets, and she's the one that's been doing the diets for Serena for the
Okay.
last 15 years.
Wow.
So I trust her.
Yes. Yeah, I would
Serena's a
trust her.
big gal.
Yeah.
If she don't eat right, she'll get bigger.
Right.
So you have the food 2 days in a row. I give you salmon for lunch and dinner 2 days in a row, and we weigh you twice a day in the morning and at night, and we see where your weight's going with it.
Right.
Then I do turkey, and we find weights, food groups that'll make your weight climb, maybe because it has salt in it or whatever. So we pull those out of the diet for 28 days, and we find 10 food groups that help you reduce your calorie,
Wow.
reduce your weight. Drinking the right amount. The simplest thing is this. I've read 100 books on nutrition. Fruit first. If you're on a diet, that means you eat fruit first in the
I
morning
love
with
fruit.
coffee.
Okay.
You can get whatever protein over a salad, or that's when you eat your bigger meal with steamed vegetables, and then broths at night, soups. You can eat hearty soups. You can
So
eat brothy soups.
so if you're telling an average person like me, I know you deal with I'm using a little this time to be selfish. No, but so it's fruits in the morning. I
Yep.
love fruit.
Acidic fruit.
Yeah.
The sweeter they are, the more sugar they want. So you want
Name them.
grapefruit, raspberries, strawberries,
What about watermelon?
watermelon.
Okay. And then midday.
Well, you can snack on the raw almonds, raw nuts during when you're in your
Yes.
car, or sliced apples. I always keep sliced apples,
Me too.
and I eat the apples.
Mhm.
Making sure that you're drinking the half a gallon to a gallon a day. People who do it for a day or two, try and do it for 10 days straight. It begins to be a chore. You're like, dude, this is a lot of water. Plus, I always have to go to the
Now I'm
bathroom.
asking you the hard question. Alcohol.
They say that tequila is the only non-depressant alcohol that actually makes you upbeat. It burns calories that are faster. So that mezcal with pineapple juice is supposed to be the drink for the healthy athlete, that if you're going to go out there and have a cocktail with friends.
And when you're training with any of these kids, no alcohol, right?
No.
None.
Most of these kids
Don't drink anyway. Yeah. Do they smoke weed?
get tested for any of that.
Oh, you can't smoke weed.
But here's the thing. You have kids. I have kids. So these two kids that you see me with, young boys, 20 years old,
Yeah.
good-looking kids,
Gorgeous, yeah.
listen to their parents. I tell them, once I put $100,000 in your bank account, which is going to happen while you're a young person. Most people don't get 100,000 in their lives,
They
right?
wish.
Yeah.
Yeah. They wish.
And then you're going to go somewhere, and your clothing's going to change because you have that money. Now, the temptation of these women that'll start approaching you is crazy.
Right.
So are you going to do the right thing when no one's looking?
Exactly.
That we don't know.
Exactly.
We could talk about it all day long till it actually drops on your lap.
But that's part of your training and your philosophy too.
Yeah.
Because I think you just touched on something that I really want to get into, and I'm glad you said this,
Mhm.
because back in the day with all the athletes, they really didn't have mentors that really told them what to do in their personal life.
Mhm.
And that's why, hence, they had all these crazy personal lives.
Yeah.
So I think now is so important because of what's going on in our world with Instagram and
Mhm.
everybody DMing
Yeah.
each other, that this conversation has to be had because they become targets. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
They're targets now. And do
Absolutely.
you have these conversations? And I think these conversations are so important to go out and tell the kids, especially young kids who are getting $100,000 that they've never seen in their life before. So is that part of your philosophy and training too?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like they say, you can't take someone on a tour of somewhere you've never been. So
Real talk.
they feel comfortable hiring me. They've seen I've been to the highest levels. I've made all the money that you can make in the boxing world. And I've seen the athletes go from the top to the bottom. So now when I give you advice, this is not a story that I heard from 3 people down. This is a story that I was a part of. And this is what happens when you do these things. So make the correct choices, and you have a simpler life. Or if you fall to temptation, you're gonna make a lot more storms than clear days for yourself.
Yeah.
And if they see that makes sense, well, most of them do. But like I said, when temptation comes knocking,
Yeah. You got to be your
yeah,
own little conscious has to
yeah,
be like your little person on the shoulder has
yeah,
to be like, listen, you willing to give that up?
yeah,
for that
Yeah.
right now. And that's super important,
It is,
you
because that
know?
could just derail you from everything. Once your focus is gone, then even though you have the skill sets all in place, you're not gonna be able to perform at high levels unless you can stay focused.
Let me ask you a couple questions.
Mhm.
Um, can greatness be taught?
Greatness can be taught, but you can't coach courage.
Mm, that's good. You're
Yeah.
right. Really
So
can.
if someone has that courageousness inside them, they'll be less fear. Now, the greatness is a bunch of small, tedious steps done every day over years, and you create great habits and you become a great performer through that. But when the shit hits the fan, there's only one Jerry Rice. There's only one Deion
Mm,
Sanders. There's
mhm.
only one Tom Brady. And so those guys, they not only have the tedious perfection of how they prepare, but they can't wait to be in a big game situation so they could perform.
Right,
And you have to be thirsty for that,
right.
right?
Here's a question. What are the 5 things every champion you've coached has in common?
Early adversity.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
They have
Be-
to come from some type of anger, like, "I had this happen and I got a chip on my shoulder a little bit so I
Yeah.
can move."
No safety net. That's one
Ooh,
thing. If I don't provide this, no one else is. I don't have someone leaving me a trust fund. I don't have parents that have money that can support me if I don't perform well or do good. They realize at a young age, not only is it up to me for myself, but it's up to me for the rest of my immediate family. They're waiting there like, "Oh, this kid's gonna be our cash cow." So sometimes that helps because when you have the responsibility to do
oh,
something, you stick to the game.
listen, when you have responsibility, that pushes you or you're trying to prove a point to someone.
Yeah.
Um, how do you find how do you find how do you know? Like, is there would you say when you first meet a kid who's you're introduced that possibly to work with you, that you know immediately they're the ones?
No, no, you find out in the heat of battle, somewhere in the middle, because your manager sets up your career the first 10 to 15 fights of opponents that you can beat so you can gain your confidence.
Mm,
After about 15 fights, you start having to fight rated fighters, and it's a whole different game when you get to the top tier. Sometimes I see in the middle of a big fight, the kid sits down on the stool, and I could see in his eyes, "I don't wanna do this no more."
right. No,
I
for real.
Yeah, I gotta go work at the golf.
That's a hard
No,
it's
because
hard
imagine
being beat in your head,
yeah,
like
just like Nipsey Russell said, he said, "When you're out on the street and you're doing stuff, gangbanging, doing stuff you're not supposed to, you looking for someone that looks like you, dresses like you, walks like you."
yeah.
And so when they're across the ring, all of a sudden they meet their match and like, "This guy's just as good as me. He's hitting me twice as hard as I've been hitting him. I don't know if I wanna do this for a living anymore. This is lethal."
Can
So,
confidence actually be trained?
yes, it can be earned.
Be earned.
And so
Mhm.
if there's several tiers, and philosophical when you're coaching is just as important as technical. So all the great coaches, the Nick Sabans, the John Woodens, what they would say to open and close practice would have the guys scratching their head and thinking all the way to the showers. Wow, okay, that was heavy. And so that philosophy is really a huge part of confidence.
Can you teach the courage, or do they have to be born with
They got to
courage?
be when you get to the very high levels, the Kelly
Mhm,
Slaters and the
mhm.
and these guys that, the Oscar De La Hoyas take on any they just have a certain courage level, and they're able to produce it under these bright lights.
Right.
That's the
That's
key.
when they turn it on.
Yes, that's and then some guys have all the talent in the world, and when the bright lights come and the
They
big
get scared.
pay-per-view, yeah. So there's a kid that I'm coaching right now. His name is Moses Altama. He's a heavyweight from England, 6'5", left-handed fighter, 21 years old,
Wow.
and he started a brand called Tunnel Culture. And so a lot of people are like, "Tunnel culture?" And that's the most exciting moment when the locker room doors open, you gotta walk down that tunnel to
Mhm,
the ring. That's the moment where cards on the table time,
mhm,
moment of truth. And you
mhm.
either love that moment right there, or it terrifies you to the point where you don't
Right,
like it at
right.
all.
You're ready for showtime.
Yeah.
No, it's really funny because everything you're saying is so much it is, it's about showtime.
Yeah.
It's about being prepared, really prepared, spending your time preparing, and then when it's your turn to step out, you're ready and you're
Yes.
not scared and you're mentally and you have your team around you and then you're in your zone. The lights come on and you grow.
Yeah.
And it's really saying something about that because growing in front of people, especially when it comes to sports, with everybody looking at you
Yeah.
is very difficult, especially in solo sports like fighting, surfing.
Yeah.
Like in surfing, you ain't got nobody to pull you out
Mm-mm.
if you mess up. Like it's just it's a different world, you know.
100%.
So now what do you do most of now? What is your makeup? Do you still do all of it or you're really just doing the fighters now? Are you still
Yeah,
doing
only
surfing?
I just these 2 prize fighters,
Awesome.
they're gonna these kids will be at a level where all I need to do is make sure that they're taking care focus on them. The surfing was great. You do it for the love of the sport because there's not
Yes.
that much money in it. Sometimes I take on a project because I know these kids can go to the highest level of their sport. Where I've trained a kid that won the world jiu-jitsu in Brazil, and there's not a lot of money, but just being prestigious and saying, "This kid's the best jiu-jitsu fighter in the world right now, today," whatever that year was that he won was. And that's enough for me to help nudge him to get to that accolade,
Mhm.
and then I move on, and I always circle back around. It's funny because when I go outside the sport, and I've trained surfers and been away from Vegas, Mayweather will call say, "What are you doing over there, man? Those guys, is that a job surfing? Can they pay you?"
He starts messing with you.
Yeah. He
Um,
trained Ricky Hatton, and I was not unavailable, so I should have trained Ricky Hatton with him, and Ricky Hatton
right.
only lost they trained 3 fights, I think he lost the 3rd one, and, he really wanted me there. Together, we're a great, perfect team because I
That's
do
amazing.
all the nutritional guidance, I do all the conditioning, he does all the boxing, so it's a perfect fit. And, a couple times when I wasn't available, he was like, "Man, you gotta get back over here."
So, have you written any books yet?
No, but I've got an outline of a few.
Okay.
Where you start something,
Yes.
they said, "Just do all the chapters first
Yes.
and then fill in the chapters."
Yes.
But that's gonna be
I
soon.
see. Yeah, I see a book coming, and you know, it's super exciting to know that you're giving to youth, like youth that needs guidance is super important. But how do these kids figure out that they want to fight? Like, how does that all happen? Like, they start fighting at home, they start doing amateur, and then how do you guys find out about them? How is this circular world happen?
It's the acclimation. Even though boxing is an international sport, it's a small world,
Yes, it is. Yes.
and people just find their way to the right personalities,
Mhm.
you know? I see a lot of kids. Kid Austin was introduced to me. He's a top champion.
Mhm.
His dad was his head coach. Great fighter, didn't seem like the right kid. Abdullah Mason came to me when they left Cleveland. He's the youngest world champion ever at 147, 20 years
Wow.
old. He had 4 other brothers. The dad wanted, "You want me to train Abdullah and then train the other 4 for free?" Wasn't a right fit.
Right.
And then these kids came around, they were kinda hovering around, introduced to me from Freeway Ricky Ross. Shaheem met him at the
Why do I feel like I
Nationals.
know his name? Yeah.
He's
We're
probably,
everywhere. Yeah.
yeah, the most famous drug dealer in the
Yeah,
history
I
of
think I know that
LA.
name. Yeah, I remember that name.
So, he
I don't
got
remember that
yeah,
name. No.
he's a manager
Yeah.
now, and so he's brought
Yes.
fighters, and after I'm around the kids and if our personalities mesh, I can see if there's something there, and then I'll start to focus and put time in, and,
What's been your favorite athlete to coach, if you had to name one? That's hard to name now. Top 3.
um, Sonny Garcia was one of them.
Yep.
Obviously, Oscar De La Hoya
Yep.
was another one of them. There's so many good ones. Um, Francisco Bojala was a kid that was supposed to be greater than both De La Hoya and Mayweather put together, and he didn't. He was self-sabotaging himself because he came from meager beginnings, and when he was too young, they already said how great you're supposed to be, so the shadow was
Yeah,
such a huge,
he was
yeah,
already great.
he couldn't live up to that in his mind as a simple person, and so but we had a good 6-fight run, and, he was so magnificently talented, ferocious, did all the things he was supposed to, and then it just didn't work out. So sometimes even when it doesn't work out and it breaks your heart,
Of
the
course.
journey's worth it,
Trust me, I've
Yeah.
had artists like numerous artists like that. Who surprised you the most?
Who surprised me the most? Um, that's an interesting question. There's a kid, that was a premier surfer, his name was Kalani Rob, and same thing, they gave him the keys to the bank at 17 years old. He was the highest paid surfer in the world at 17, and
Wow.
he better than everyone, but he didn't quite have the competitive edge under the bright lights, and so that kinda derailed him just a little bit, but, he was 23rd in the year he hired me, and he went to number 3 in the year at the end of the tour, so he climbed
Okay.
up through the ranks. Just talent in every direction, could do any drills, could like a cat on a wire, could walk
Mhm.
across, could just he's magnificently talented as an athlete.
Yeah. Who's the hardest worker you ever trained? Who works the hardest?
De La Hoya for sure.
Mm.
De La Hoya was the only guy that with $200 million in the bank will do every exercise, wake up exactly when he's supposed to, don't eat until I'm actually there putting the food to make sure it's the right food.
Wow.
Guys take charge of their careers once they have money. He would just once he went to camp, he was like, that's the way his dad taught him to be. He was like that all the way. What am I supposed to do? I'm gonna
Wow.
run 3 miles at 5:30 in the morning. Okay, I'm gonna run 5.
Wow.
Hey, no, but run 3 because we have stuff to do throughout the no, I'm gonna run 5 anyway, and I'll do whatever you have me do. So that's the kind of work that he put in. And so you see where it led him all the way
Yeah.
to where it did.
That's amazing. Well, it's amazing to know that, just because he wanted to stay a winner and
Yes.
stay on top. And it's something you keep saying that I love is like, when the lights come on, can they rise to the occasion?
Yeah.
Because that is a big difference. Preparing for something and showing up to the party with everybody and everything going on and all the ears to go to the next level is a whole different game.
Yeah.
And I say that about artists too. A lot of artists can't handle the light. The light's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much, and they get confused and they
Yeah.
don't want it anymore. And it's like, oh, I don't know if I can handle it. So it's very similar.
Yeah.
Who made the biggest transformation for you as an artist, as a client,
As an
an athlete?
athlete.
Mhm.
Probably Makua Rothman. Makua Rothman was a big wave world champ. And when he started out, because his dad coached him early on, and so his dad would always tell him everything that's wrong with the situation, and it gave him a hard time to navigate to see himself as winning the events. But once I started coaching him and he went through different psychological rewiring,
Mhm.
he rose all the way up to become the first big wave world champion
Wow.
on the tour. And so he just grew through everything. And he had a lot of adversity as a child. So he had a lot of mental things that he was trying to circumvent and get across to get back to, positive thinking.
Adversity.
Yeah, adversity. They say
Adversity.
adversity breeds greatness.
Listen, out of the fire.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have this podcast. We could talk about it a whole different time, but I wouldn't have this podcast if I hadn't had a lot of personal adversity and just really trying to get my life back, after being a mom and getting a crazy divorce and all of that and coming back. It's really about so people can understand we all go through our challenges.
Yeah.
Who was naturally the most gifted? Just naturally, like, you're like, "God, they can do everything and, don't have to work hard at it." It
Some of
makes you mad.
these 2 kids right here that I'm training are so gifted,
Yeah,
and I see nothing but the top levels of the sport for
let's
them.
go.
All you have to do is stick to what we're doing and just
Okay, I
follow
wanna
the
come to their fight since I
Yeah,
met them
absolutely.
young.
We'll have you ringside with Sam. I'm sure Sam will be in the ring
Yes.
with us,
It's funny
but we'll
because,
make sure.
I knew the Serena and Venus, very, very young. I used to go see them in Compton
Uh,
because my first ex-husband was an orthopedic surgeon at, the hospital out there that I used to go to. So I knew
okay.
them very, very young, and you knew then they were gonna be huge, and this is
Yeah.
when they were, like, 13,
Yeah.
12, and 13. He was at King Hospital, and he used to see them before they, you know, went to Florida and
Yeah.
everything, so I known them a long time, and it's really crazy just to see where they are. I hope they remember me. I actually did run into them once in New York, and they remembered me.
Oh,
This
nice.
is, like,
Yeah.
20 years ago, but it was just funny to watch them grow because, the dad had them,
Yeah.
working hard, It does really start young, and it's also about adversity,
Yeah.
but I still get back to, I think, somewhere in your book, it has to be, "Don't be scared of the lights." Because no matter how hard you work, you gotta step up into the light
Yeah.
to shine
Absolutely.
and take all the noise out to show that all that hard work you've done.
I think the main key is us as humans. There's going to be two personalities. The one that's great at something that has perfected their craft, that's not necessarily who you are. That's just what you do.
Right.
And so, When you're great at something, it can't either inhibit you or promote you to be something that you're not, you know?
Exactly.
There's a guy that he stands on a piece of foam really good, they call him the world champion. Another guy, you put him gloves on, and inside the ring, he could control the universe, but outside the ring, like you said, all the things we have to overcome as humans, it doesn't make you better
Nope.
and easier.
Nope.
You
You
know,
still gotta do your shit.
we've all been to the crossroads, and this I share with the kids is that the carrot that dangles in the morning when you're impoverished is just that money. Once you obtain the carrot, you realize it's just a carrot.
Exactly.
And it doesn't make you happy, but it got you out of bed at 4 in the morning to go ahead and run and do all the things that you think that it was gonna provided some of those.
Yeah.
So if you know from the beginning that, like, you have to cherish people in your life and all the different blessings that you have throughout the day, don't get hung up because you think you're good at boxing, that somehow you're better than anyone else
Nope.
because 'cause you're definitely not.
No, because God will show you
Yeah.
you're not real
Yeah.
fast. Let me ask you a personal question.
Uh-huh.
So, what has been your fire? What coming out of the fire? What would you say the hardest, if you don't mind me asking, the
Mhm.
hardest time for your transformation as a human and where you're at?
Oh, there's been several. I've been humbled. When De La Hoya retired, after the Pacquiao loss in 2009, I had a couple really bad relationships and just tore through probably like $500,000 just going to Miami and going to New York and going to all the best parties in LA until I would already just I had hit the bottom. I didn't want to coach. I didn't know what I was gonna do next.
Mhm.
And then when you hit the bottom, you have to figure how am I gonna rebuild myself? And you have to start from scratch
Mm.
and relearn everything. And all the habits that I had acquired when I was winning, when I was on top of the world and everyone telling me how great I was, I had to restore those, get to the early to bed, early to rise.
Call people and people are like, "Oh, I don't wanna talk
Yeah.
to you right now." That happened to
Yeah.
me. I quit my career and nobody would hire me again, and I was like, "Wait, I need help," and they're like, "Oh, you're over." You know what I mean? You gotta
Yeah.
start all over again,
Yep.
so,
And
yeah.
so, yeah, that's what I did. I started all over and I started realizing that when you start putting one foot in front of the other and following the discipline that once you got you there, you get there again. It might not be as quick as last time because it was a surprise last time, the quickness of
Right,
stardom and,
right.
getting the job you wanted. I had no idea when De La Hoya hired me. I didn't know what the job paid.
Oh,
And I
you
started
just took
getting
it.
checks. It's
You were
like,
like, "Oh!"
this for a year or a month?
Yeah,
Which one?
that's so
Yeah.
amazing.
So
That's amazing.
that's incredible. You have those moments. And and then you just come down to just good living,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Eating good, being around people you love,
Um,
everything come back and focus.
who helped you the most in this business, would you say? Who helped you in your life the most?
Mayweather Sr., he was like
Yeah,
a
that's what I
father
thought.
figure to me the
That's
last 20
amazing.
years.
Amazing.
Yeah, so everything that I've been able to accomplish, the confidence I have is because I'm saying I don't know anything about boxing. I'm just doing what he showed me how to do,
Right,
and it's working out fine.
right.
So someone else has to take credit for the knowledge, right? I'm
Yeah.
copying a formula. I'm not the creator.
So, what's left for you, Rob Garcia? What's left?
I think
What's your next chapter for you?
I think what I'm gonna do now, I'm really excited that I've had 2 mentors, Mayweather Sr. and Joe Chavez. They call him the legend. He was the cut man for Miguel Cotto, for Pacquiao, for
Mhm.
De La Hoya, and he would always tell me, "You've been lucky because every time you come into the sport, you get someone like a great fighter that's coming off a loss. They change teams. You come in at the right moment, and you look great. But in order for you to be really noticed as a real coach, you gotta take someone from 0 and 0, put them all the way to a champion." So my next chapter is these 2 kids, let's just say that conservatively they have a decade-long career because 'cause they're 20. Most fighters don't retire at 30, they retire at 35.
Mhm.
Let's just say they do everything that they're supposed to do and they get it all done in 10 years. Say they make 100,000,000 each, 200,000,000. So as I'll take my 20,000,000 as the coach and I'll be done because I've lived so many hours in time in a gym.
Mm.
And at that point, I'll know once their accolades are done, then I can just go ahead and step away
Right.
from the sport. Yeah, yeah,
Relax.
relax, for sure.
And how do you relax?
I surf still
Oh, you
sometimes,
do?
I'm down yeah, I like to be down at the beach, I do a lot of mountain biking. Biggest thing that's been the key focus for me that maybe I've left out of this story is for the last, like, 8 or 9 years, I've been going up to Laird Hamilton and Gabby Reese's pool in Malibu, and they
Mhm.
do all the recovery training, they do underwater training with the weights, they do sauna and ice, red light therapy, and they're on to everything that's about to happen when it comes to longevity and health.
I love that.
And so they've shared with me over the years, and that was the one key piece to the puzzle that I needed to understand more because I understand the nutritional science, I understand sports performance and conditioning, but the recovery was kind of like everyone was just drawing lines and saying, okay, you need this much hyperbaric chamber, you need this, you need, and they kind of like sorted it for me. So now these kids, when they come out of practice on Tuesdays and Thursdays, they go right up to Malibu. They're welcome at the pool. They do their sauna ice. They do their meditation, get a little red light therapy stretch.
I did red light last night.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
last night, I put my red light therapy
Yeah.
on. So I'm really into all holistic medicine. I also believe in Western medicine too, but holistic medicine, and that's why part of the stuff I was saying is I think it is. I think it's like we are in an age now where we have more information.
Yep.
And just like you said, the meditations, you said you're riding your bike. I'm a big hiker.
Okay. Yeah.
Going up to big mountains. People think I'm crazy. I
Yeah.
hike these big mountains because I get downloads from them. And it's like
Big time.
it's like my church for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
It's very spiritual, but it is about what you don't use, you lose.
Mhm.
So doing all these different treatments are so exciting. I love that you're doing that because I do believe that we're in an age right now where it's super important. We didn't have all that. We didn't have that information before. So that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here on Out
Been
of
a
the
pleasure.
Fire. And you have so much information. I'm going to hang out with you. So
No,
I'm
I
gonna
gotta get you to help
s-
with my daughter.
yes, I would love to hear your daughter's
She
music.
needs your guidance
Okay.
on anything.
Yes, I would love to help you with your daughter. So
Okay.
I would love to hear her music. She sounds very unique. And the music business is just a crazy business. But a lot what you were saying is it's so similar to when you take on an artist because you become their parents
Yep.
and you put a lot of time into them. And sometimes they break your heart.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're like, what do you mean you can't do it? And you believe in them maybe more than they do.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know?
you have to.
Yeah. And it's one of those things to recognize them. And that's what I'm saying for you. These kids are with you right now.
Mm.
You're talking about 20, 30 years. That is a serious commitment
Yeah.
to helping someone reach their goals.
Yeah. It's worthwhile.
They're blessed
Yeah.
to even have someone in their life at your level to do this.
Yeah.
Anybody, but just at your level because you know the game, you've done it. You
Yeah.
know what success looks like. You know
Yeah.
how to get there. Now it's navigating them. Can you stay on the course?
Yes. That's the key. So, sometimes it's just a nudge. You just bump them in the right direction. Just
Yeah.
I'm not a teacher. I'm not a philosopher. I'm not a priest. I'm a sign on a post that as you're walking down the road, you just see that sign that says which way to go. That's what I am. I'm
Oh, I love that. We're using that.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I'm the sign on that post. Well, honestly, I am really excited to meet you. I want to come hang out with you, and I really want to learn about this workout and the whole thing because I really believe that healing our bodies are everything. And like I said, we're just touching into it, and the government doesn't give us all this knowledge. But when you find the red light therapy, I've done the
Yeah.
hyperbaric chamber, I've done
Yeah.
the red light therapy. My son's autistic,
Okay.
and he's also dealing with he's just coming off of Hodgkin's lymphoma, and he's doing stem cell replacement therapy. And I told him as soon as he's through this, we're cleaning your whole body out. We are going through a whole regimen, the red light therapy, everything, because I really do believe
Yeah.
in that.
The journey's real.
I do believe in Western medicine too. I wasn't going to say I'm not going to do that stuff. You do that, and then you clean it, you clean up. So, and I just think it's pollution in our environment, among other things.
Yeah.
But I'm so happy to have you here. Give me all
You're
your
great.
information where people can find you, your social media, your company names, your fundraiser. Do you have any like a fundraiser or anything like that?
I have just my Instagram, which is Brave in Boxing,
Okay, Brave in Boxing.
and I work for the same company. Me and Mark got brought on board, Data Vault AI,
Okay,
which is great for young athletes, for entertainment people, for musicians. They scrape the internet, get all your data, protect your data, then they monetize it.
oh, I love that.
So anywhere your voice has been or an image of you has been, they'll be able to take it off. If someone owns the image, they give them a share, a revenue share, and they make tokens out of all this. They
Oh.
tokenize everything,
Oh,
and then
wow.
everything's available. So there's a passive stream of income that exists. They say as we go through life, we're like a boat, and the wake of the boat is all the data coming off us, whether it be our medical data or whatever. And this is, the CIA exists just from intel. They're just gathering information. and this company gathers up all the information and creates a passive stream of income for the athlete
I love that. I
for
wanna
the
know more about
entertainment.
that.
Yeah,
That's
so
great.
I've been working a lot with them. That's exciting because I've never really been into that scientific world of engineering and computer science and stuff like that, but I know it existed and how powerful it is when you get Meta,
Yep.
and all these guys at Facebook that make all the money. You're like, okay, this must be important. So
Yep, chat, everything.
yeah,
All
getting
right, well, good.
involved.
I wanna know more about that. That's so awesome. Well, thank you for coming for Out of the Fire.
Absolutely.
Your story is so inspiring just working with all these great athletes, you know what I mean? That's so crazy, like, to just be in the room and help people grow and get them to their to the next level. That is so, like you don't find a lot of people that do that.
No, I found out early on through Paul Check. He said you either want to be the best kept secret or you want to be McDonald's. And so I chose the best kept secret. Just like I told you with Sari Malman, no one really knows who they are. But if you look at all some of the world's greatest athletes, she's done the diet for all of them. There's another trainer. His name's Mackie Shieldstone. He happens to be Serena's trainer. He was Evander Holyfield's trainer. He makes
Wow.
all the money. No one knows who he is because he's the best kept secret. He don't let anyone come in and
I
watch the
was
egg.
trying to research you. I was getting confused. I was like, "Wait, am I getting the right you're the best kept secret too."
Yeah,
I was like, "Hold up,
yeah,
how
I
do I
keep.
not know who he is?"
Yeah.
You're a really good secret, and then when Shane started giving me all your information, I
Uh,
started reading, I was like, "Wow, that's crazy." Just the people that you have helped raise up to the next level is amazing. So you definitely deserve your own book.
well, they say results speak for themselves,
Exactly.
right?
They sure do. Well,
Thank you.
thank you. Rob, today's conversation reminded me that champions aren't won on fight night. They're built in quiet moments, the early mornings, the exhausting workouts, the moments when nobody is watching. What you've taught us today is that greatness isn't reserved for elite athletes. It's available to anyone willing to prepare, stay disciplined, and keep showing up when life gets hard. Whether you're stepping into the ring, paddling in a giant wave, sitting beside a loved one in the hospital, rebuilding after loss, or simply trying to become a better version of yourself, the lesson is the same. Stay calm, trust your preparation, control what you can, keep breathing. Rob, thank you for sharing your wisdom, your journey, and the philosophy that's helped shape champions around the world. And thank you for joining us for another episode on Out of the Fire. Remember, life be lifing, but your greatest strength isn't found when life is easy. It's forged in the fire. Until next time, keep rising.